at 5 o'clock. Roll call.
Mayor Litchfield,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Webb.
Here.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Here.
Commissioner Arias, Commissioner Terry.
Here.
Let the record reflect that Commissioner Arias is absent.
Okay, our discussion items tonight is we're discussion regarding resolution 2022-02, a resolution regarding licensing fees for cannabis related business.
Yes, ma'am. In your packet, you should have a copy of the draft ordinance, or excuse me, draft resolution.
Number 7,
5A.
5A, okay. I was looking at something else, okay.
So with this, I worked with Mr. Najjar to go ahead and move forward with this draft as we had discussed at previous meetings. And in there, it has the original request from the commission to set everything at $400. So at this point, it's up to the commission to have the work session and discuss and see if that's acceptable for all those different types of businesses, or if you want to adjust accordingly. For example, a courier license at the state level is $250. We had been advised by the attorney to try not exceed more than $300 to be consistent with the alcohol license fees. But again, it's completely up to the commission, so I'll turn it over to you, Mayor.
Okay. This is what I would like. I would like to see them a little bit lower than 400. I'd like for us to go 300 at least, at the, not the least, but at the most. So,
Do you know what a carrier is?
Yeah.
What is a carrier?
he's the one that takes the truck, takes them from place to place.
and makes home deliveries.
Yeah.
That's what it's gonna be like Pizza Hut.
Right.
You put a little light on top and you take it. And so that's gonna be a lot of difference than every dispenser who wants a carrier will get that permit. And then if you're at home, Mayor, and you want a joint, you can call the dispensary and they'll deliver it to you. That's what a carrier is. It's not what a lot of people thought it would be, where you would just be carrying the product from the manufacturer to the dispensary.
In addition to,
Yeah, well, that's a different, because now the only one that does a carrier is a medical cannabis, but those medical carriers go from town to town where they actually meet people and do that. The other thing you have to consider, to me, it doesn't matter, but don't forget, we have the minimum wage increase coming up too. Before the end of the year, I think, is that correct?
January 1, we went up to $11.50. January 1 of 2023, we will go up to $12 an hour.
Yeah. So a lot of it, and if you all review the budget and you saw what some of these people are getting paid, and if you're comfortable with giving them extra shores, that's perfectly fine with me. But like I told you last meeting, we have people that are making 10 cents above the minimum wage. We're looking at an industry that if it's going to be flourishing, doing good, $400 is nothing. It's up to you guys. But again, coming back to it, it's not about trying to be cheap on anybody. It's about meeting our expenses. And we're not going to meet our expenses because that's going to take time. And I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of extra work for some of the employees. So if 400 is too much and want to go to 300, that's up to you guys. But I will not. I will vote against it. Mine said is at 400 because I figured that 400, after reviewing some of the things and some of the extra duties that these people are going to have to do, I feel that is reasonable and we can justify it. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to go into this industry.
actually, I don't even know why we're discussing this again. I thought we pretty well beat this to death
We have, but
the last times. So I made my comments pretty clear.
I make my comments, but it seems like it's being brought up again. And if it's brought up in a work session, what the hell are we doing here if we're not going to discuss it?
No, I'm just
That's why we work session.
Is anybody going to change their mind today?
I'm not, because, and I'm justifying why it's going to be done. You know, and that's what I'm pointing out. If it's in a work session, it's in a work session. If you didn't want in a work session, then the commission should have voted against it. But I already spent my time to come down here.
Well, it's on the agenda tonight, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I guess we're rediscussing it, so.
Well, this is the first time you've seen it in the form of a resolution. Before, it was
You're
just
right, yeah.
discussing,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
That way, if there's any other language throughout the resolution that's not acceptable, we could hash it out now. before.
Yeah, and it looks okay, except for that part. Other than that, I don't see any other difficulty in the ordinance. But,
Nor did I.
but, other than the area of the fee, but it's perfectly fine, the commission feels that they need to go down on it, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
The only thing is that I feel that we should be reimbursed for what we're doing. If you take the percentage from every department and bill it back to the employee's area like we do with Ralph, he does a certain percent out of general funds and a certain percent out of the grant funds. You know. Then you're gonna wind up justifying the percentile for 400. And it's not every industry. I mean, it's not every license. You might choose one or two licenses. I think Clovis is 1,000.
But that's not per license, that's for
That's
everything.
for all three.
That's for all three,
Oh,
yeah.
no, 06.
But I just feel like if the state's charging $250 and we're charging $400, to me, I just think that's above, but that's my opinion. You have your opinion and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for, so I still would like to see it at 300, so that's me.
The other thing is, I noticed in the paper where Albuquerque is making every dispensary be 600 feet apart. You know, when we were discussing 150, everybody said that it was not a good idea and that we couldn't do it legally. And then you see somebody else doing it. But no, the whole deal is, that's up to you guys, but we do have to be responsible for the budget. We do have to be able to not cut any more salaries, and we should get reimbursed for anything that any of our employees are doing. And the only way we can do is we go out and attach it to the percentile of the salaries that are being used.
So-
You know.
Mark, didn't you figure it out that even if we charged this much, it still wouldn't equate another salary?
Correct. It's gonna be minimal.
Yeah.
Based on the number of applications we've received to date, even if they were to open all 6, which I don't imagine we're gonna have any research or testing laboratories, nobody's applied for that. So max, say they did courier, they did manufacturer, producer, retailer, and a consumption area,
Growers.
that's $2,000. And say you have 10 applicants, what's the latest that we have right now for the city as far as business licenses?
I'm gonna say probably 10, maybe 12. I think I've received 2 more.
So you're looking at maybe 20,000 max. That would be maybe a part-time employee. It wouldn't be a full-time employee, it wouldn't cover benefits. It would help, but for example, I was gonna bring it up for my manager's report, we have had to start providing letters to these dispensaries that are wishing to, or those that are wishing to grow. They have to prove that they have water
Yeah.
rights. I started doing that, and once we got the draft and we worked out the draft with the attorney, it takes me 2 minutes to draft the letters. I mean, it's not like it's much more out of my time. When it comes to researching those dispensaries or places of business, it takes a little bit more because you have to make sure it's not within 300 feet of a school or daycare. But it's not anything unusual out of the typical scope of community development. It's not anything out of the typical scope for the business license process. The one process that's actually more is writing that water rights letter, which I'm doing, and it's taking me 2 minutes. So,
And if we put this thing in, you think the police officer wouldn't have to spend any more time than they normally do now, so as short as we are? Are you saying that morale wouldn't, has too much time in his hands and he needs to put in, give him extra duty so he can put in his time? Is that what you're saying?
to a certain extent, the police know they're gonna be higher volume. EMS and fire is gonna be higher volume. But I don't believe this fee is established in that effort to make up for that and hire more employees. It can't be to generate revenue. It has to be specific.
No, it's
to the
not.
application process. It's an application fee.
And it's not, because this is what I'm saying, it has nothing to do with generating extra income, it has to do just anytime you do a budget, you do percentiles and how much of the time you use or whatever. And he has to justify, and we can justify why we have the 400 and not the 300. I mean, if you're looking at all 6 licenses, that's 1,800.
24.
No,
Yeah,
at
300.
300.
About 3, yes.
Uh-huh. Because that's what you're saying, go to 300 and be at 24. I mean, at 16.
Well, when you try to compare it to Clovis, and Clovis is only 1,000 for all 6.
But they're also gonna limit how many, I think. But they also have, the, medical cannabis, I think they have 3 or 4 of them there. Well, it's okay, but they'll come,
But when you're talking about the budget, it's going to be like, what, $400 difference? $4,000 difference.
Correct.
it depends how many come in.
Exactly. That's
That's what we're looking
That's
at.
good.
It depends
Looking
how
at
many
the full
come in
amount.
and what we have to do. Let's see, I mean, I don't understand why, but 300, I don't know how we justifying 300 in the first place. Why not giving it for 200?
Mr. Commissioner.
It's
our-
just, that
our
was the
wages-
max, that was
You'll be here for
the,
the meeting.
Oh, the meeting's not gonna be here now, okay.
that was a recommendation of the attorney. It just needs to be consistent. He feels that we're not being fair and equitable if we're charging more just because it's cannabis, then that's not right. If we increase everybody's fees, that would make sense. Or if we're more consistent with the established fees already, he has no issue. He's just worried about our liability and the potential for us to have a lawsuit filed against us. That's the only thing. If not, then we could charge 1,000 for each thing, but it's not consistent with our current fee schedule.
So then why don't we just go what we charge the liquor license, since it's not gonna take any more energy? Yeah, 250. If you want to.
I'd like that even better. So I'd like that even better.
Yeah, we can go,
That was recommended originally, but
Yeah.
it's up to the commission.
and see what happens, the whole deal is that I don't feel comfortable, adding extra duty to anybody because we're already at the edge with the skeleton crew. But, I'm not a city employee, so I don't know how they feel about it, they might feel okay about it.
Well, even at 300, it's that.
No, but they're saying that it's not gonna mean, it doesn't matter,
Yeah,
there's no extra duty, so it's so free that maybe 250 will be, even with their liquor license, nobody will get sued. It's not even gonna dent the budget or anything for anybody. It's just perfect. It's not gonna take no more time of Angelica taking time to do any of the work because it's not gonna impact.
I don't think it's above the scope. It's the same consistent scope. You just had, 120 business licenses that you had, so I mean, 10 more.
179, actually.
Wow.
It's pretty good.
So,
10
and
more on top of that.
Right now, but later on, she had lost that many.
so keep in mind, it's only once a year, I mean, yeah, we may get a couple new ones during the year like we do businesses, but the business licenses, right now, this is the time of year for business licenses for me. It's not all year long unless we get a new business in town. And it's gonna be the same thing with this. Initially, yes, it's gonna be busy, but it's not gonna be like that all year long.
Yeah.
Unless we get a new dispensary that opens up, then I'll have to deal with that application.
Yes.
So you're saying you have a lot of time, that's not a big deal.
Why not? I think you're misconstruing my words, Mr.
I mean, this is
Moya.
what I'm saying, it's gonna overload the other person doing
You are
the time off.
misunderstanding my words. We
No, I'm
are
not
very
understanding,
busy.
misunderstanding, I know exactly what we're looking at, because I looked at the budget, I looked at the salaries, and I look at how short they are in many areas, that they even are having a difficulty time just meeting what we have on the work plan.
Well, the way I see it, to me, how can you pay the part-time employees a full-time job and then, raising the price like that, you know what I mean?
Raising the price at the.
Yeah, like 400, it ain't gonna help nobody.
Well, if you feel that way, perfect.
That's how I feel. I
I
say 300 might be fair,
I don't know, but always in business, you look how much how much is being pulled out and the time, and you go by time regardless. And that's how you do the budget. You see how much time it's gonna take the police to run up there when when we only have two, you know, how much it's gonna take on Hillcott to do once a year, 10 more licenses, you know, how much time is Ralph gonna have to do in writing letters, saying it's a meet the specs, you know, how much time is it, everything that goes with it. And who's gonna enforce the ordinance, you know? I don't know who's gonna enforce the ordinance. Maybe we don't need it. But if you guys feel that, hey, the city can handle it, why not?
What do you think, Matt?
Well, I think either 300 or 250 is what I would like, because I think we get more people in. But.
No, I don't agree, that you'll get more people in. I don't think. the cost
No, I don't
will make
think
any
so.
difference.
Well, probably not get more people in, but I think more people would. Well, I don't know.
I mean, if you're gonna spend,
I think it's fair and equitable to $300.
Yeah.
It's,
it has nothing to do with recruiting, it's just a matter of the fee. Because you're gonna come in, you're gonna come in, that's all there is.
So Mark, what do you think? 300? You think that would be?
Based on the recommendation from the attorney, yes. I think that's my biggest goal. Like I said, it could be as high as it needed to be or as we want it to be. My goal is to keep the city out of any kind of litigation, any kind of lawsuits. That's my number one priority. And I have to act on the recommendation from the attorney. That's his job. So with that being said, yes, I think that's more in line with what Mr. Najjar had stated.
Well, can you go in the middle? 350?
And actually, to be honest with you, and I have to go with mostly what I can see, that the responsibility of keeping the expense reimbursement for what time our time is invested in it. And if you look at it from from that area, you can just go in and do percentiles of everything on the amount of time it would take from all the different departments, and you would want to justify it. And you can. And if you go to court, that's exactly what you have to do, justify why. But if we want to continue operating on negative, perfectly fine.
I think we have a lot more issues with the budget, and if we use that
Yeah,
concept
but
for
no,
the water,
it's
the
not only
wastewater,
that.
the streets, the sanitation, we'd have to double our prices for everybody to make it real.
Actually, we have one of the highest utility rates in the state. And I know because I got 6 clinics, 6 different towns, and this is the highest of all the towns. And so, you know, and the reason they were higher was to justify the expense. You know, so, and then a lot of it is that you have to equally budget for everything and everything that comes in and not take exactly from the general fund for everything. Everything should be able to balance out at the end of the year. But that's perfectly fine, I don't really care. But, you know, I get tired of people calling me, I'm making 10 cents more or less than minimum wage and all that stuff, and yet we don't feel like there's a need for anything to justify a balance.
And I'm not agreeing. I wish we could pay our employees more, but the matter is that employee that has that concern is making $1 more an hour than they were this time last year. So they
Only because
receive
of minimum
$1.
wage.
Not necessarily, we could have left them at minimum wage, but if it's even 10 cents more, everybody got $1 that is an hourly employee. So whether it's the state's doing or the city's doing, they're making $1 more an hour than they did last year.
I got a question, how much is a person on salary?
Salary, 2% is all they got.
Yeah.
But really, $1 ain't really nothing. I mean, milk and everything costs a lot.
Last fiscal year, nobody got a raise. So to me, that was a positive step. We were able to work on the budget to get everybody a raise. It may not happen every year, but that's why it's very important. We're talking about it now. When it comes to budget time, we need to be serious and really decide how we're gonna do things.
Well, personally, I'd like to recommend 300 for the license. That's what my recommendation would be, so. Take it or
Well,
we'll
Really
vote on it
can't.
when we vote on it.
you really can't decide anything in this
No.
meeting.
Right.
The whole deal is that, all I'm saying is that's perfectly fine with me, I really don't care, but I really want to be responsible and government has to be responsible.
Well, I think $300, we're still being responsible. We
I
can-
don't think so, because if you look at the percentile and the
think we
involvement
can-
of personnel, and you
But that's
just
okay,
by the
that's
hour,
like
look
I
how much they get paid by an hour. Look how much he gets paid by an hour, look how much Ralph gets paid by an hour, and you percentile it out. It's, it doesn't come out to, and then to what we're thinking, but that's, even 400 is pretty cheap, but I think that's reasonable. Other than
Anything
that,
else?
I guess we'll let Mr. Arias, Commissioner Arias,
No,
decide.
no,
It's up to-
no, just,
what do you mean? Mr. Benoit here himself said he thought 300 was reasonable. Are you saying that he's?
No, Commissioner, I was just saying, we can't make that.
No, we
decision.
can't make that decision, but
Until
you're
we
saying
get
the
to
third
the
vote would be
meeting.
Mr. Arias, even though you don't say it, it's implicated. And Mr. Manuel here himself said 300. I don't know.
anything else?
No, I could do it.
No, ma'am.
Then I guess,
Do you need a motion to adjourn?
no,
No.
No,
not on
it's
work
over.
session.
¿Qué pasó?
Pues, that's a lot like that, but they- So,
Been giving you anything for that?